Well, good morning, friends, and welcome to my channel. I am Crystal, and this is Homemaking and on the Homestead, and Happy New Year. It is 2026. It has been a minute or two since I've had a video up. I realized that. Again, it wasn't my intention to go this long, but I'll tell you all about that. I hope you guys had a wonderful Christmas and are moving into the new year with a lot of just excitement for the new year, new plans, whatnot. Or maybe you're just staying steady and doing the same thing, and that is okay too. Anyway, I figured we would do just a little coffee with Crystal. So ladies, grab your cup of coffee or tea or whatever your favorite beverage is, and let's chat. I hope that you all had a wonderful and blessed holiday season. It was crazy. When I put out my last video, I think in November, I was just getting over a cold. I thought I was getting over it. And maybe I was, I don't know. Then one of our kids came in to spend a few days after I had put that video out, and to spend some holiday time with us, and ended up coming and bringing us the flu. And I joked through the whole thing, even though it went on and on and on, but I did say sharing is caring, which it is the season, right? And at first I thought, that it would go by quickly, that certainly we're not getting sick again, but we all ended up getting sick. And this time it just went on and on and on. And I actually feel like I'm still, feeling some of it right now. I have a nurse friend who's on the East Coast, and she said that it was really bad in her area. Her family was all sick. People she knew were getting sick, and it was brutal. So I don't know if any of you were unlucky enough to end up with the flu, but apparently it has been going around, and I thought it would never end. That's how I really felt about it. It was like, this is just never going to end. But at least by Christmas, I was feeling a lot better. My husband and my son, they were already, they were a few days ahead of me, or a week ahead of me. And so they were feeling better. I knew there was hope, but it was just, like I said, it was kind of brutal. But I'm glad to be past the worst of it. And because we were all not feeling well, our Christmas was pretty mild this year. And I did my best to just get Christmas boxes out to my grandkids, get the Christmas cards, write a Christmas letter, get all that sent out to family and friends. And, that was about it. I didn't even have many Christmas decorations out. I just felt so poorly, but it was okay, and I didn't mind it. We enjoyed our quiet Christmas day, and then moved on into the new year. This time of year is always a struggle for me because the short days and how dark it is. And trust me, we have had so much rain, but not necessarily cold. So it's really not unusual for us at this point to have had snow and to have cold nights and colder days. And in the Pacific Northwest, we're not talking Midwest cold. We're talking, Pacific Northwest cold. It just hasn't happened. There's still a lot of bugs out, and I'm just like, today's high is supposed to be 50 degrees, and I'm just like, I cannot believe this. That's the only thing. But the gray days have just kind of tended to go on and on. Finally, a few days ago, the sun came out. Couple days ago, the sun came out, and that was so nice. So I really love that when that happens. You just begin to appreciate any little glimpse of the sun when you live in this part of the world. But I will say that as I've been kind of watching it, that the days are slowly getting longer, where our days are almost to 9 hours, and that is nice. And so I know, spring, it'll come. But in the meantime, I have been enjoying lots of cups of hot tea, and doing some crocheting and taking care of the house and cooking and that kind of stuff. And it's just been, in that aspect, it's been a very nice winter. So make sure you let me know down in the comments, did you have a nice Christmas? Are you excited for the new year? How's the winter? What have you been up to? That kind of stuff. I would love to know that. So do you make goals, resolutions, or none of that? the older I get, the less I really do that. I do try to have a few goals in mind as I start the new year. Some of them are like this year I've just started writing down a list of books that I would like to read this year. There are so many different book plans out there to encourage you to read more. And some of them are, I think one of them is like the 5x5, where you pick 5 different overall topics and then put 5 books in each of those topics that you want to read. So by the end of the year, you have read 25 books. And then there's other plans based on how, people just pick a number of books they want to read each month and make goals accordingly to that. I don't even do any of that. I just read. I love listening to audiobooks. As you know, I've shared that in the past. I usually tend to try to have a few books in my queue, written down or whatever that I want to go to next. So when I finish a book, I can move on to another book. I love old classic books. I've read a lot of them. So this year I was like, well, what are some that I haven't read? So I haven't read John Steinbeck's East of Eden yet, so that's on my list. And Alexandre Dumas' The Three Musketeers, that's a book that I've always wanted to read. And maybe some Charles Dickens. I've read a few of his, but I'm going to look through his list and see what I haven't read. Currently, can you actually say that you're reading the books when you're listening to them? I've always questioned that. What do you think? Anyway, so I'm currently listening to an Agatha Christie book that I found online. A Murder is Announced, and I love Agatha Christie. You all know I like my murder mystery type. Not the yucky stuff, but just the put out all the clues, let me follow along in the book, see if I can solve it before it gets solved, but that type of thing. I really enjoy those. And because I have read so many Agatha Christie's, it is really hard for me to find one that I haven't read. And all of a sudden I was looking on YouTube and up popped this book. So I thought, I don't think I've read that. Now I'm about, not quite halfway through, but I can tell you I have not heard this one, and it's good so far. So that's my current book. My other goal, of course, for the new year is always to read the Bible through the year. And I have done all kinds of different plans in the past. I've been doing this for like 20 years. This year, I kind of got a bit ambitious, maybe, we will see, but I picked a Bible in 60 days. Last year, I did a Bible in 90 days. That was really no trouble at all. In fact, I did it like 1.5 times. I had started it at the end of 2024 and finished it at the beginning of 2025. And then last September or so, I started it again and finished it before the year ended. Now, here's the thing with those kind of plans. You don't have to do it in 60 days, but it will give you a nice layout. If you wanted to keep up with that pace, you can. But if you can't for a day and you only get halfway through, that's fine. Pick it up next time. So I went ahead and chose that. I just got that started because I was finishing up a Bible study on Jeremiah. I'm going to kind of continue that plan. So my plan last year was going through the Bible and then picking different books and different pastors and going through different various books. So last year I managed to go through Hebrews, Romans, Isaiah, as well as listening to the Bible like 1.5 times. And, and then I did Skip Heitzig, his Bible from 30,000 Feet. That was really good. So I highly recommend that for an added on Bible study. I picked this last time going through the book of Jeremiah. I listened to a very old time pastor. He passed away in the late 80s, but J. Vernon McGee. And I went through Jeremiah with him. You can find his Bible studies all online on YouTube, probably on his website as well. He used to, for years and years, had a program on the radio called Through the Bible Radio. and he would have a plan where he would go through the entire Bible in 5 years. And quite honestly, when I was first saved, he was one of the first pastors that I listened to on the radio, and I always would look forward to that. It always came on about the time I was putting my little ones down for their nap and moving into the kitchen to do things, so I would be able to turn on the radio, listen to that, or sometimes just sit with my Bible and go through it with him, and that was really good. Sometimes I will just do them on my own, and I have a couple really good, it's one commentary, Old Testament, divided into Old Testament and New Testament. So, and I will just use a good Bible commentary and go verse by verse, take notes, write them down. I have a big study Bible, and I will write down my notes in that. And I really like doing it that way too. And that might be how I do my next book when I get there. That's the Old Testament. This is the New Testament, and it is by John F. Walvoord and Roy B. Zuck. I'll leave links to these in case you want to take a look, but I've really enjoyed these commentaries a lot and learned a lot too. And one way that I decide what books I'm going to study, sometimes I will look at, especially with Old Testament books, I will look at the Old Testament, or I will think about that as I'm listening to it through the year, and pick the books that are the most maybe confusing, difficult for me to understand what is going on here, and those will be the books that I hone in on. And quite honestly, the prophets like Isaiah and Jeremiah, Ezekiel, that kind of stuff. I really have a hard time placing when was this happening, what was going on at the time, and what was going on here as I listened to them. And because I want my Bible reading to be more not just hearing it, but also applying it to good Bible knowledge, I guess, So that's why I picked Isaiah and Jeremiah, and Ezekiel will be next. And I've learned a whole lot about all those years where the kingdom was divided, and who were the good kings, and what kings were in place in the northern kingdom and the southern. Anyway, it's been very educational, and will certainly enhance my Bible listening as I go through the year. So as always, what I want to always do is encourage you guys to, get in there and read your Bibles. There is just nothing in my mind more important than just being in the Word on a consistent basis. It is such a blessing, and it will always come back to you in the most wonderful ways. Being in the Word of God is so exciting, and it is so uplifting. And so I always encourage that. Personally, I use an app by YouVersion called I think it's just the Bible app. And I've shared it many times before. They have tons of plans, tons. They even have 2-year plans. They have just a New Testament, just an Old Testament plan. You can pick a plan and a method that works for you. Everybody's life is different. Everybody has different amounts of time. So pick something that works for you, and just make it a point to spend daily time in the Word. It is, you'll never regret the time you spent in the Word. So those are kind of my basic goals for right now. Basically reading. Can you tell I like it? Whether I listen or I read, I love books, and I love reading. So those are kind of where I'm at right now. I'm going to continue to go through my house and clean. I was making great progress till I got sick. So that's back on my list again, to get through my house and finish going through the closets and the cupboards and all of that, and getting myself down to a much more minimal, manageable amount of things, so it's easier to function, easier to clean, all that good stuff. So that's kind of still on my list as well. Speaking of books, I was just going to mention this one. This was one that I got in a thrift book haul last year, and my intention last year had been to kind of go through each of the books that I got. But this one, Living Well on a Shoestring, somebody had seen that short video that I made of the haul, and was asking me about it. And so it is from, these are tips, money-saving tips from Yankee Magazine. This is a magazine that I guess is up comes out of the New England area. And it's been around for a long time. I don't think they make a print version of it anymore. Now it's online, which I understand. Print versions of things are just fading away. And anyway, it's a collection of tips, and they have all kinds of great tips in here, from, the spending money on your groceries, to decorating, to traveling, to buying clothing, all those things on ways that you can save money. They talk about finances, things to help you get out of debt, and a whole lot more. So I've enjoyed going through and reading all the tips. Now, here's the thing, as I've been reading a lot of how to save money books for many, many years now. So it's really hard to find a book that is like, oh, I never thought of this, or oh, I've never read this before. But there were a few that I went through and found to be unique and different. And so I like that. And I like the way that they talk more about finances. A lot of these types of books don't talk about ways to build up your money and ways to use your money and grow your money and getting out of debt and stuff like that. They'll talk about the tips to save money. So I did appreciate that about this book. Like I said, I bought it from Thrift Books to add to my collection. I probably spent maybe $5-6 on the book. I'm pretty certain this would be something you should be able to find in a library, so that you can check it out. And I will leave a link below in case you would like to buy it used or new. Amazon does have used books. A lot of people don't realize that. My go-to is always Thrift Books, because I love, I think you can spend, like, if you spend $25, you get free shipping. So, that's not hard to do. You buy 5 or 6 books and you're there and you get free shipping. Sometimes Amazon's used books, you have to pay shipping on top of their already great price. So, whatever. If you're interested, I will leave the information about this book below. Okay, and one thing we haven't talked about in so long is what's going on in your kitchen. What kind of things have you been cooking up? I always find this time of year to be the perfect time of year to be in the kitchen and cooking and making the goodies. Of course, you probably had a lot of those during Christmas, but there's still all kinds of things to bake and enjoy. I know I have been making a lot of soup. There is just something about this time of year, the cooler weather and all that good stuff, that soups are just my go-to, and they're quick, they're easy. And tonight I'm kind of thinking maybe soup. I got a discount loaf of French bread, garlic bread at Safeway, because I stopped in there the other day just to grab a few things. I was thinking tonight of doing something like, I don't know, maybe a lasagna soup and French bread and a salad. That sounded kind of good. We'll see. But like I said, soups are always my go-to. I rarely ever follow a recipe. I just kind of always look at what I have in my refrigerator, my pantry, my freezer. Do I have anything specifically that needs to be used up? And if I do, then that will be the basis for what I decide on what type of soup to make. So what kind of meals have you been cooking this winter? And what kind of any goodies or anything else have you been doing in your kitchen lately? And we can encourage other ladies that come and read the comments with new ideas, or just maybe an idea that they forgot that they used to make. Oh, I used to make that. I remember doing that. And give some cooking inspiration to everybody that comes by. Okay, ladies, I think that kind of wraps up today's video. I kind of covered all the things I was wanting to share with you. I certainly hope that we all are staying healthy, and that I can get out some more videos. I really would like to. I'm ready to come back to at least a little bit more consistent schedule. So we'll see what happens. And hopefully we all stay safe, healthy, and all that good stuff as we all move into 2026. Okay, I will see you all in my next video. Bye-bye.